Geometry. We're going to be solving word problems using some geometric rules. So let's look at what those rules are first. Triangles have three sides and three angles that measure 180 degrees. So there's three things that you need to know about triangles. They have three sides, they have three angles, and if you add all the angles together, they are 180 degrees. Rectangles have four sides and four angles that measure 360 degrees. And a square is a rectangle, so that would be true for squares also. So there's three things that you need to know about rectangles. They have four sides, they have four angles, and those four angles measure 360 degrees. But there's a fourth thing that you need to know about rectangles. The formula for a perimeter of a rectangle is P equals 2W plus 2L. That is to say, perimeter equals 2 times the width plus 2 times the length. So how many parts does a triangle have? Did you say 3? What did the rules say? Triangles have 3 sides and 3 angles. That's 6 parts. Let me show you with this triangle here. Okay, the sides are labeled ABC, and as you can see, they're all lowercase ABC. And the angles are labeled with uppercase letters, ABC. Now, that's not a big thing for algebra. It is a big thing for geometry, but it's not a big thing for algebra. But you can use XYZ if you're solving for a triangle word problem. But the best thing to use is ABC, uppercase ABC. And that's going to become important later. But for right now, let's just use uppercase A, uppercase B, and uppercase C. Okay, this is our first problem. The second angle of a triangle is double the first. The third angle is 40 less than the first. Find the three angles. Okay, like we said, a triangle has three angles, and the three angles together equal 180. That is, the sum of the three angles equals 180. Now we know what the second angle is. The second angle is B, and we know what it equals. It is double the first, that is to say it's 2 times the first angle. A is the first angle, so it's double the first or 2 times the first. Now the third angle is C. What does the third angle equal? The third angle, C, equals 40 less. Remember, we write 40 less as minus 40, not 40 minus. It's not 40 minus A, it's A minus 40. So 40 less minus 40, the first one. Again, A is the first angle, so the third angle is 40 less than the first angle. And then let's just bring A down. And that equals 180 degrees. Now we know what a triangle equals. The angles of a triangle always equal the first one plus the second one plus the third one are always going to equal 180 degrees. We know that A is A. We know that the second angle, B, was twice the first. We know that the third angle, C, is 40 less than the first, and that all of them together are going to equal 180 degrees. But do you see what we've done? We've got this all down to one variable, A. Now we cannot solve a problem with two variables. We always need to get it down to one variable or we cannot solve the problem. Well, we've done that. We have one variable and it's A. So let's bring the third term out of parentheses because there's a plus in front of it. And since there's a plus in front of it, we're not going to change the signs within our parentheses. And we are going to add like terms now. The only units that we have are negative 40. I don't see any other units. But we have a bunch of A's. We have A plus 2A, that's 3A, plus A, that's 4A. We have 4 A's. And let's bring the negative 40 over. And let's bring all that down. So 4A equals 220. Divide both sides by 4. And that will isolate the A. And 220 divided by 4 is 55. A equals 55, and that is our answer. Wrong. Go back and read the question. What was the question? What are the 3 angles? What is the measure of the 3 angles? That is the measure of one angle. Well, let's see what we're going to do. Let's go back and put on the board what the angles were again. Okay, we solved for A, and A was 55. B was 2A, which is 110. And the third angle is C, which is A minus 40. Let's see, 55 minus 40, 15 degrees. And that is a pretty sharp angle. That's a pretty small angle. But let's see if all 3 of these angles add up to 180 degrees, because they have to. If it's a triangle, they all have to add up to be 180 degrees. 5 plus 5 is 10. Let's put down a 0 and carry the 1. Let's see, 1 plus 1 plus 5 is 7, plus the 1 we carried is 8. And in the left-hand column, we have a 1. Let's bring that down. And that's 180 degrees, which is correct. So our answer is 55 degrees, 110 degrees, and 15 degrees are the measures of the 3 angles that we're looking for. Now let's look at rectangles. A rectangle is a 4-sided object that has 4 angles. Each angle is 90 degrees. 90 plus 90 plus 90 plus 90 is 360 degrees. But if we're measuring the sides of a triangle, that is the perimeter. And as you can see at the top, we have length. On the right-hand side, we have a W, which is width. On the bottom, we have length again. And over on the other side, we have another W, which is width again. So you can see that if we're measuring the perimeter, it's L plus W plus L plus W, or like we said in our formula, 2W plus 2L. That is 2 times the width plus 2 times the length. And a lot of times you will see a rectangle like this with 30 inches on the top, 15 inches on the side. That 30 inches on the top, if you want to call that length, is going to be the same as the 30 inches on the bottom. So they're not going to write it twice. They may, but they usually don't. The 15 inches on the side is the width, and so the other side of the rectangle is also width, and it'd be the same size. And so here is our problem for rectangles. The perimeter of a rectangle is 44. The length is 5 less than double the width. Find the dimensions. Okay, here's the formula for perimeter. We already know that. And I would like to encourage you to stay away from X, Y, and Z unless we just, if it says there are 2 numbers and we don't know what they are, that's X plus Y. But here we know what width is. Width is W and length is L. So don't substitute X and Y in there, or it's going to get confusing, because once you figure out what X is, you're going to have to substitute it back in for width again. So let's start tearing this apart. P, what is the perimeter? The perimeter is 44. And width, they didn't tell us what the width is, so let's just bring that down. 2W. And what is the length? Well, before we put the length in, it's 2 times the length. And the length is 5 less than double the width. That's right, double means 2 times, so it's going to be 2W. And if you notice, if we hadn't built our parentheses the way we did, you'd probably be multiplying w times 2. And as you're going to see, it's going to be 2 times 2. And it's going to get all messed up. So remember that when they say 2 times the length, it's 2 times parentheses, because they're giving us a bunch of information in that parentheses. So let's bring everything out of the parentheses. And let me get my head out of the way a little bit. And we have 2 times 2w is going to be 4w. And 2 times 5 is going to be 10. And the negative 10 is the only units that we have. So we can't do anything there, but we have 2w and 4w. Let's add those together. And let's bring the 10 over to the other side. Let's bring all that down. And divide both sides by 6, which will isolate our w. And w equals 54 divided by 6, which is 9. Our width is 9. And I don't even need to tell you that that is not our answer. You already went back and read the question again. The question was, what are the dimensions? The dimensions are width and length. We know our width. Let's find out our length. Well, we already know that our width equals 9. And we know from the problem that length equals 5 less than double the width. So 2 times 9 is 18, and 18 minus 5, 13. So our length is 13 and our width is 9. And our rectangle is going to look something like this. And that's pretty much what it will look like. You have a rectangle whose dimensions are 9 by 13. And Mr. Wallace said that the width was 13. I think he got that wrong. I went back and I reread the problem. I redid it myself. And I got the length as 13. It's not unusual to have an algebra book with 1 or 2 typos in it, or a couple of things that they get wrong. So that's not unusual. And of course, it's not going to be unusual for me to get 1 or 2 things wrong in these videos. If I do get something wrong, please email me and I'll straighten that out. But we have a rectangle whose dimensions are 9 by 13. And we're going to give you the opportunity to learn this a lot better. If you do the homework problems 16 through 30, you'll be an expert.